Hey gang, Dr. Angus, Dr. Kirby here from Life Chiropractic. Today we're talking all about dry needling. It seems to be a topic that I'm seeing coming up all the time.
Yes.
And we've got somebody who's an expert on it here because Kirby does it. So I'm going to interview Kirby. I'm going to ask all the questions maybe you've wanted to know about dry needling, and we'll work out whether it might be right for you to help out. So first of all, Kirby, what is dry needling?
Dry needling is with this little needle here. So
Yes.
It's the same needle that they would use with acupuncture, but I want to be really distinct. It is not acupuncture. It's very different. So acupuncture is generally done by a acupuncturist or a Chinese medicine practitioner, and it is done with the philosophy or the theory that they're putting the needle into meridian lines, energy lines,
Blocked energy, blocked chi.
block chi, all of these sorts of things, which is really, really great. Dry needling is completely different. It is the same needle, but we're putting them pretty much into tight muscles. So we're working literally just with the muscular system and the nervous system through the actual muscles. So it's very, very different.
I often, because when people go along to an acupuncture, so when it might be a Chinese med person, if they've got a sore elbow, the Chinese med practitioner might stick a needle in the ear, and it's, because it's blocked energy from there too. And I don't pretend to understand it at all, but often the site that they're needling can be very different from where the symptoms or the problem,
Yes.
which is very different from dry needling.
Yes, so dry needling is based around putting the needle as you would have a massage. So when you get a really tight, taut band in a muscle, for example, you'll get what we call a trigger point, which is kind of like, most people describe it as a tight knot in the muscle,
Yep.
And we call those trigger points. So what we're doing with a dry needle, rather than massaging through that trigger point, which can be quite uncomfortable, and you might need to do that for quite a long period of time, instead what we're doing is putting the needle in through that trigger point, moving it up and down to deactivate that trigger point, and then when you take the needle out, then the muscle can kind of relax, and then that's how the muscle heals. So we're literally working with tight muscles and tight bands in the muscle itself.
Okay, here's the big question. Does it hurt?
It can be a little bit uncomfortable. I can't say that it doesn't hurt. I don't want to say that it hurts, but sometimes people describe to me, oh yeah, it just feels like a little bit like a cramp, and then we kind of take it out. So when I move the needle around, that might be a little bit uncomfortable, but as soon as we take the muscle out, there can be some soreness post needling, whether it's that night, but that can be simply rectified with maybe some heat on it or something like that. But much in the same way, you can get sore after exercise, you can get sore even after an adjustment sometimes, so there can be a little bit of discomfort after needling.
I think my experience is this: most times, if you weren't watching the needle go in, you probably won't even feel it go in. It's not the needle, but as Kirby says, she's kind of poking it around a little bit there as well. And then my experience too from having it done, the first time I had it done, afterwards I was quite achy.
Yes.
But on subsequent sessions afterwards, I just felt great afterwards. And I've found, as opposed to having it take, anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes of deep tissue massage to release parts of my leg or lower back and stuff like this, a needle in there for 30 seconds was way less painful and easier than that, what sometimes was, as I said, 15, 20 minutes as well.
Exactly. It's a lot quicker. We've kind of put the needles in, move them around, and then take them out. So something like a calf, for example, I find my calves to be really uncomfortable to be massaged. A couple of needles in, out, and it's done really quickly. The reason that you often get very sore post-needling as well is when we get these tight knots or trigger points in the muscle, the research shows that it creates all different kind of chemical processes. So we get these pain chemicals and things like that forming around the joint. So when we're then getting in and deactivating that, some of that will spread out, and then that's why we kind of get all those inflammatory markers that come and heal the actual muscle as well and get it to relax. So that's a normal process.
Right, so let's talk more about, because you mentioned calves there before. What's it good for? Like, what's a classic case where you go, ooh, dry needling, good?
I find I use it mostly on people that have things like chronic tendonitis, such as tennis elbow, golfer's elbow, works really well on Achilles. People often, tight traps that just aren't kind of releasing enough. Like an adjustment does really, really well, but if they've got this muscle that's in spasm, sometimes it can do really well through there. What other things? IT bands, ITB or the IT band. really uncomfortable to get that massage or do that on a foam roller, sometimes a couple of needles in there can get it to release amazingly. So people with knee pain, I find it works really well as well.
As a general rule, you'd be pretty safe to say any tight muscle, particularly one that continues to be tight that won't settle down, is probably a candidate for some dry needling. Yeah?
Yes, yeah, it's my last resort. When I, obviously as a chiropractor, we work mostly with the spine and the nerve system, trying to get the system down. But sometimes, after a number of adjustments, if I'm finding, the elbow's still a bit cranky, just popping a needle in there can make a huge difference.
Yeah, and it's remarkably quick too. It's not like the needle needs to be in for ages. As a general rule, how long?
The style of needling that I do, I literally pop the needle in, move it around and then take it out. So and there's lots of different styles of dry needling. You might see another practitioner that might leave needles in there for ages. Acupuncture, they leave them in for 30, 40 minutes. But the style of needling that I do is called IMS, and it comes from Canada, and it's literally put it in, take it out. So it's only a couple of seconds, the needle's really in there.
Those fabulous Canadians, hey?
Yeah.
So who shouldn't have it done? When's it not a good idea to get dry needling done?
If you're in the early stages of pregnancy, it's not recommended having needling just while there's a chance of miscarriage and things like that. Anyone that has any sort of bleeding blood disorders, pretty obvious, we're piercing the skin, so you wouldn't want to. And then the main ones, if you've had surgery or you've got open wounds or something like that, we can't pop needles around knee replacements or surgeries, or if you cut yourself, obviously we can't, because the risk of infection is quite high. So apart from that, they're the general kind of contraindications.
Yeah, so my experience is, because I don't do it, but Kirby does, and I love sending people to Kirby, is that those tight, stubborn muscles that won't settle down can settle down in a heartbeat, way less painlessly than what it would take with some deep tissue massage and stuff like that too. So my thoughts would be, if you are constantly tight neck, shoulders, back, legs, those kind of things there too, and you're finding, one, whether it be your adjustments, or two, when you're getting some massage it's not working, then try some dry needling. Have a look around. Many of the myos do a lot of it now there too, or you can come and see the amazing Kirby. Any final thoughts?
I think that's about it. Apart from the needles themselves, they're actually quite small. They come in different lengths. Obviously different muscles are different sizes, but they're all the same width. So people are actually just surprised how thin they are. And
they're incredibly thin. As I mentioned before, honestly, if you weren't looking at it being done, Kirby's very good at it. You wouldn't even know the needle has gone in there. Once it finds that trigger point, that can kind of be an interesting kind of feeling for me too. But as always, gang, if you've got questions about it, ask them down here. Kirby and I will get back to you, and we can perhaps help direct you to somebody who might do some needling that's closer to you if you're not here. Or if you want to book in a session with Kirby, 96461414, you can speak to the amazing Mackenzie or Ashley or Chloe, and they'll help you out with all of that too. So until next time, gang, stay well. Over and out.
See ya.
Bye.